really never gonna have a bad episode of X-Men 97 because they just cannot miss. Crazy cameos, crazy reveals, and crazy cliffhangers. They said, haha, not enough emotional damage? Here go 2 more for you. This is your spoiler warning. If you don't want to be spoiled, make sure you drop a like, follow, come back later. The emotional damage off rip as they open up with Gambit's funeral, but I did really love what Nightcrawler had to say about him being a gambler and about how he was bluffing being a sinner. Man, the dialogue in this show goes crazy. But there's someone missing, Rogue, who's dealing with this grief in her own personal way by getting revenge on the US government. Bro, she was really standing on business for her man, Mon Ami. And I'm glad they put this scene in here to remind everyone that Rogue, yeah, she don't fuck around and she's strong as shit. Look at this anime kick from death. She hit this tank with the punch from hell. We get a Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross cameo. Motherfucker thought he was slick by saying, look, this is the place that holds the Hulking. But Rogue pulls up and say, ha, it's a lot easier to break into prison than break out. Now tell me what I need to know. Where's Rachel? Meanwhile, with the X-Men, the UN is like, listen, we would help you out, but we just don't fuck with mutants. So the X-Men go and help with the relief efforts on Genosha. While Rogue pulls up on his cabin in the woods, that bike looked familiar. But that shield looks even more familiar. That's right, boys and girls, we get a goddamn Captain America cameo. It turns out they're both looking for Guy Rich, and he's being held in a compound in Mexico City. Rogue asks Cap for help, but Cap's like, listen, if I go over to Mexico wearing this suit, busting head, it's not a good look. He tells Rogue, my hands are tied, I can't help. So Rogue said, all right, since your hands are tied, you're not gonna need this. Takes Buddy's shield up into the sky and tosses that bitch into the mountain. She said, fetch, Frisbee boy. You know how petty this shit is for Captain America? Look at Cap's face, bro. He really sitting there like, are you serious right now? Rogue pulls up in Mexico on Guy Rich, full on Batman interrogation mode, trying to get information, but he ain't budging. He warns of a bigger threat coming. Hey, yo. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna just take all that shit myself. And then they both pass out. Back on Genosha, we get a fucking horror scene of Jean Grey reliving all of the mutants who died, like their last memories, their last thoughts of like, damn, my life's really about to end right now. Shit was haunting as fuck. But then she notices a telepath is still alive in the robot. Turns out Emma Frost mutated twice into a diamond skin form. Bro, when she said, I always work well under pressure, that's a fucking bar. I'm not gonna. Pressure makes diamonds. Come on. Scott thought it was Madeline Pryor, so he starts crying. Shout out to Jean for being a real one and comforting him, even though he's crying over your dead clone. Shit is crazy. But it turns out the X-Men aren't gonna have to go looking for Trask after all, as he sends a message that they should come to his facility. Obviously, they're hesitant, but back in Mexico, turns out it's Dia de los Muertos. And Nightcrawler pulls up on his sister Rogue, who feels guilty and responsible for the death of Gambit and Magneto. But man, when Nightcrawler said you didn't kill them, you helped them live, I was like, ooh. That's so profound. I'm not gonna lie, this almost had me shedding a tear. And then her family shows up, and the entire gang is almost back together. Guy Rich wakes up just to get killed by some guy. You'll never know our secret. And then they pull up on Trask's location and find out that there's like this other evolution of Sentinels being worked on. And ladies and gentlemen, we gotta jump as Trask is about to off himself. Shit was funny as hell when they call him the poor man's Oppenheimer. He hates everything he's become, and he actually quotes Oppenheimer by saying, now I am become death. But as he jumps, Rogue catches him. He's like, give me some more information, but he doesn't give her more information. So she says, thank you for your service, as he seemingly falls to his death. Rogue is a murderer? I'm not gonna lie, Rogue unhinged. Hear me out. Listen. Let me tell you something. But then all of a sudden, boom, an explosion that would make Michael Bay hard. Let me stop. Turns out Trask is one of those fucking Sentinels. So Rogue isn't a murderer. But to me, my X-Men, y'all got a fucking problem. Shout out Morph turning into Quicksilver. I thought that was dope. But they all get fucking waxed. This Trask Sentinel, ain't no joke. This motherfucker had Scott in his grips calling him a fucking orphan, saying, how does it feel to be abandoned by the future? And then Akanisha shows up and turns the lights off of him. Turns out the future did not abandon him, but he spoke too soon. As Cable pulls up and tells him everything. And yeah, turns out they know that's their son now. Turns out Sinister is working for someone more evil and sinister. You thought a man with a soul patch was a problem? Nah, man with a goatee is gonna be a bigger problem. And somehow they know about Charles. Magneto's alive, and he's being held captive by Bastion. Bastard. And if I had to guess, I'm happy Magneto's back, but it looks like he wants to turn him into one of those Sentinels. This show just keeps getting better and better. We only got 3 episodes left. I don't know how they're gonna keep topping it. Hey, yo.